What's the most weight that you ever cut?
42 pounds.
42 pounds?
Oh, yeah.
What the It's a fucking ton, dude.
No, I was doing freak weight cuts.
That was 6 weeks, though, right?
That was like 8 weeks for
8
that
weeks?
one. I mean, so I didn't go down to 35 till later in my career. I was probably 33 or 34 or something like that. You know, when I finally decided to go down, and by that time I started to get bigger physically.
Yeah.
So every time I do these weight cuts, I would just blow up afterwards and hit like a record high in weight. You know, a lot of it was just me being undisciplined with my diet, you know, but that's so much harder than people freaking realize, to just like be super disciplined after starving yourself for so long. You just finally have a license to eat, so you eat, and then you just get big. And I would get a little bit chunky in between camps, you know, and that definitely wasn't the most professional thing to do, but it's also hard as hell. You know, I'm a human being. Like, I'm hungry, man. I've been starving myself for freaking months, and like now I can eat. What do you expect out of me? Yeah, I would get freaking big. I would be regularly over 170. You know,
Wow.
I would be right around 170 when I was in camp and training. I could hold that weight, you know, without any problems. Like when I would get fat, I got up to 177.
That's
and
a hell of
I
a
started my weight cut down. This was my fight in LFA against Sviat Lavashvili. And that was the co-main event for LFA. You know, that was that fight that was supposed to get me over and get me to the UFC. And I started my camp at 177. And I mean, you lose the first 10 pounds easy, you know, because it's fat. You know, you kind of just lose it through camp, but then you have to start resorting to what I always did was just run a lot. I would do 2-3 mile runs, one in the morning, one at night, you know, so I'd freaking run before work, and then go to work, and then get off and train freaking at least 2, freaking sometimes 3 hours, and then I'd go eat dinner and then run again. I would always run after my dinner so I could burn calories anytime I took them in, because I had so much damn weight to lose. And it becomes just this whole thing, this whole ordeal, this mental thing, you know, where you're just afraid to eat. You become afraid of food. You don't want to get full. You know, you start eating, you're like, oh, I don't want to eat too much. I'm going to gain weight. And, you know, and then like it becomes this eating disorder. I've actually talked to several fighters about it. Like, we pretty much, guys that are doing big weight cuts, and even the guys that aren't, we're like developing eating disorders because we're pretty much anorexic while working out, you know, like tremendous amounts, and then we gorge, you know, get all plump. But yeah, I cut 32 freaking pounds. I made weight and I performed. I went 3 rounds with him. I won the 3rd round. I lost by a decision. But yeah, I mean, I always felt fine at the time, you know, and it never really seemed to bother me that much. But as I got older, it really just seemed to start affecting me more and more, you know, and the weight cuts were just getting so hard. And, you know, I've had just kind of intestinal issues because of it. I think I've really messed up my system, you know, just through starvation and then overeating, and then weight cuts themselves, man, I can't imagine what they're doing to your body. I've come close to kidney failure several times.
Jesus Christ.
You know, when you're cutting crazy amounts of weight, it feels like your lower back's hurting, but it's not your back, it's your kidneys. They're starting to freaking ache so bad because you're so depleted. And there's so much that goes into it. You're not just, you know, you're not just weak from not eating, you're weak from no sodium. You know, you got to take away all your sodium so that the water flushes out of your system faster, and you're sitting in freaking alcohol baths, you know, like I can't imagine what the hell that's doing to you. You know, you're just breathing in that hot freaking chemical air. And then saunas, you know, like I've spent so much time in saunas, just like, you get to the point where you're so weak you can't even save yourself. You know, I've had a couple weight cuts where my coaches are holding the door shut on me.
Jesus.
And I'm too damn weak to even push it open. I'm just trying to push it open so I can get a little breath of air, breath of fresh air, not sauna air. And they'll just hold it closed, and I'm just laying on the floor there like a dead man. I've had people Because I'll cut weight at like 24-hour fitness, and I'll just have people like wondering what the hell I'm doing, like alert the freaking people up front. Like there's some crazy person doing freaking trying to kill himself in the freaking tube. I've had a bunch of people ask me if I'm doing cancer treatments. I think that's because I'm so bald and pale, you know, like I get even cancer. More bald and pale. They're just like, this dude looks like he's about to die. Like I think he's doing cancer treatments. I got that question like probably half a dozen times, and eventually I would just tell whoever's watching me cut weight, I'm just like, if they ask, just tell them I'm doing some radical freaking cancer treatment, and they'll leave us alone. But now it became just messed up, and I mean, if you'd see me at weigh-ins, I would look like freaking death. You know, I'm freaking bald and pale as fuck, and my eyes get all sunken in, and I look like a freaking skeleton.